All right. Good Friday morning to everyone here in the stream. What a fantastic game. That was probably the most enjoyable game of the season, considering who we played against, how we played, how the guys played that we traded for in Cat and Mikal. So, you guys can see I got a big old smile on my face right now. Before we get too much further in, I do want to let everybody watching know that BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all things online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football to the NBA to college basketball, NHL, and UFC, you can head over to BetOnline today. And don't forget to use the promo code BLEAV, capital BLEAV, all caps, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. What a game Karl-Anthony Towns had tonight. How about that? How about going back in to where it all started, right? Minnesota. 32 points, 20 rebounds, 6 assists, and it looked easy. Rudy Gobert did nothing. Julius Randle couldn't do nothing on him. Naz Reid, foul trouble. Smell you later. Absolute clinic. Absolute clinic from Cat. Inside, 3-point range. Face up on Gobert. That shot was nasty around the third quarter. Even, with a little bit of turnover issues today, passing out of the post with the double teams, he was the best player on the court tonight by such a wide margin. He's a fantastic player, man. I'm so happy that he got this moment with, they said, I don't know how many family members he had there, but there was a lot of family supposedly. The way that everybody kind of knew they traded him because of salary reasons and, trying to maintain the second, stay below that second apron. Cat deserved this night, as Tyrese joins me right here. Cat deserved this night. I'm so happy he got it. And we'll touch on some other players in a little bit, but that's the story tonight. What do you think about this game, Tyrese?
I thought it was a good game. I thought Cat was able to play the way I wanted him to play for this game, especially he got up for this game, and I think that was the big question, was whether or not he could get up for this game or would it be a little bit too emotional for him. And the lights were not too bright; the lights were very much dim, and he came to with 30 and 20, which is insane from him. He's been playing at a level that is incredible, and not just for his standards, for any standards in the league. He's clearly been worthy of being the starting center for the All-Star team.
Yeah.
He's clearly been one of the 10 best players in the league, I would say. He's just been on fire. 5 of 5 from 3, 32, 20, and 6. You can't ask for more from your franchise center. And yeah, man, he was, I want to say, at the heart of this. The stretch in the second quarter, he was at the heart of it. He's just incredible, man. He's just incredible.
From the time that he kind of took over this game to whenever he sat in the fourth quarter with I think 11 minutes left or something along those lines.
Yeah.
We were plus 40-ish from that time where the Wolves were up 7 and then we went on this huge run to from that time to the time that he got subbed out, he was around plus 40. And it was easy for him, man. No matter who they had on him, it was easy. And granted, we know Julius Randle is not playing defense like that. For whatever reason, he'll never have the commitment to it. But Gobert, Naz Reid, Randle in a pinch, McDaniels, whoever was on him was just getting busy. They were getting buckets put on him.
Yeah, it was like they had no answer, and the Timberwolves defense has been really good as of late. I think they're fourth in the league before tonight, and they just got
I think they were somewhere along the lines of like the last 10 games. I think they were the number 2 defense, something like that.
yeah, like they put up 41 in that quarter, and then the Knicks put up 41, and then the Timberwolves put up 18, and that was the game.
Yeah, I was on the tweets tonight for the Twitter account, and I haven't been super locked in on like the first 15 to 20 games. I've just been locking in recently on the season because of school and whatnot. But I was genuine question. I was like, where does this rank in terms of the best quarters of the season for this basketball team?
It's the best.
Yeah, immediately everybody's like best quarter
because like anything they did in the Denver game, like they didn't really play defense in that game. They played defense that quarter, and then the offense was also just like insane because they hit like I think it was 7 or 8 threes in the quarter.
Yeah. Speaking of best whatever of the season, we got to talk about Mikal. His best game of the season too, I think.
Yeah, I think given the competition, I think this is a little bit better than the Pelicans game at MSG. He looked so in control. As a passer, as a defender, he just did everything you could ask for him. And I think he's taken on more of the scoring load as OG has been struggling recently. But like the fact that he was just able to manipulate defenses with his cutting, able to thread the needle for passes. You would see him like wait and then like find somebody under the basket, whether it be like Precious or Sims. The fact that he was able to incorporate above the break shooting, which has been like the big topic or question, where it's like, oh, is he good at above the break shooting? Like, he didn't miss a shot inside the arc tonight.
Wow, actually?
Yeah, he didn't miss a shot. I was like, no, I can't do math.
I thought he missed like 2.
No, he missed 2. Never mind. I can't do math. But yeah, like 8 of 10 inside the arc as a wing is insane. He's just had incredible consistency inside the arc, and now the outside the arc shooting isn't coming along. He's hitting his free throws, which thank God he's actually starting to take them.
Yeah.
It's only one today, but I'll take it, baby steps. But yeah, like the last, I want to say since that New Orleans game, he's just been on fire, which is really good to see from him.
Stacy. Got Stacy joining us now. How we feeling, man? What a game.
The rookies could have been better.
Okay, yep.
the 2 rookies. No, I mean
all 3 played actually.
It was funny because I watched some of the NBA pregame stuff, and Shanae picked the Knicks, but it was Bontemps and I think Windhorst both picked the Wolves, and
of course Bontemps picked against the Knicks. Fuck out of here. Whatever.
And Windhorst is of course the dark arts guy.
Yep.
So what was it, 35 points I think when they put the garbage time guys in?
Around.
Can't really ask. I mean, that was as complete an effort as we've seen from the Knicks. Not even actually. They kind of were sloppy in the first quarter, but it just shows you like this is the team that was envisioned, right? This is why you give up what they gave up for Bridges, not just the offense, but I thought he really frustrated Anthony Edwards at times. That's what they need from him on this team. Cat, we know he can do, and it also, I mean. I don't know what Brunson finished with, like 14 points on 14 shots or something. But if I told you they beat a contender, a playoff team last year with that kind of performance from Brunson, you would have been pretty surprised. They have that luxury now. Even Precious had a double-double. It's there's going to be bumps, but it's tough not to be really excited about this team this year with nights like this.
Even looking forward, like, yeah, we always want to win this season, right? But Karl Anthony Towns is how old? 28?
29.
29. Brunson is 27.
28. He's 28. Mikal's 28.
I'm
Yeah.
just pretending everybody's a year younger than they really are. But
I do that a lot.
Yep.
Like by like 6, 7, 10. I still like to say it's my 21st. So
it's your 21st, the 13th time.
Yeah.
Or however many times.
Undercounting by a year again.
Okay, look, yep, there we go. But it's just like this team, even if it's not this year, man, this is just here to stay for I don't know how long you want to call it, a half decade. Like, this might be the best shot you ever have to win, but it's not like this is some experiment where you're going from, whatever chance you have this year and then cutting it in half next season. Like, this is here, this is sustainable. And it really, like, every year is going to be the NBA Finals and the semifinals for us against Boston. Like, I think we're the two best teams in the league until OKC shows me they can play in the half court.
Honestly, you're not wrong. OKC being able to defend bigger wings and play in the half court is an issue. I do want to say that I think the defense is being helped by the fact that we're playing two bigs a lot with Precious. I think the numbers bear it out too, where it's like when Cat and Precious or Cat and Sim share the floor, that the defensive rating is like very good, and like when Cat's the lone big, the defensive rating is not very good. So I do like the versatility that we have, and we even saw some Cat at the 4 minutes today, where like he was playing with Sims.
Right?
Yeah. So it's really interesting to see that like they're figuring out how to play defense. Having a bigger wing has been helpful, and letting OG be a bit more roamer. Having Precious, I think Precious guarded Randle to start the game, and we saw like OG being able to like help off with Daniels, and that seemed to really start helping in the second quarter. I think this team has some real legs. This team has some real versatility. The offense is always going to be elite. The defense is starting to come around. There's just a lot of good to take away from this.
Yeah. By the way, your other hometown team won as well. Tyrese 7 threes for Wemby.
Shout out to the Spurs.
Your other hometown team.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it, I think Dallas is just kind of a terrible matchup for us in some ways. Even without Luka, as we saw. Boston is Boston, still probably the best team in the league. And OKC is just super talented and has like the defenders to match up with us. Other than that, I take this team in a 7-game series over anyone. Like, all respect to Cleveland, they're having a phenomenal year, but like you watched that team tonight, it wasn't just hot shooting either. And the Wolves, they were I think 4th in defensive rating coming in today.
Yeah.
And Knicks just obliterated them. They had no problem. I mean, let me throw this back to you guys as well. How much do you think? Because Brunson had a bad game. Like, let's just call flat out. I'm not even trying to make excuses. Like, the decision making wasn't great. They were pressing him full court. He was slow to get into the sets. How much do you think, though, Minnesota clearly keyed in on him? How much do you think the other guys went off tonight as a result of that?
I think it was I think a big part of what Minnesota was trying to do was stop Brunson. Like, you saw them put a bunch of length on him. I think we've seen teams try to go like the wing on Brunson in order to like slow him down and like make Brunson a passer, but it's like you can't make Brunson a passer with Cat and Mikal doing what they do. If they're able to do that, then like making Brunson a passer is just like the worst thing you could do. And we saw that Brunson just like anytime there was an opportunity to transition, or anytime somebody was able to cut, or Brunson was able to leverage the gravity from Cat, it was just pass to open man, pass to big side corner, pass to open man, pass to Cat and the post, pass to Cutter. Like, the way Brunson is able to leverage gravity like that, you can't double it.
It's just awesome to know that you can kind of have like that formula that teams played against us in the playoffs, where they were trying to make Brunson a passer and he had to force that issue a lot of the times. When we pivot off of that, we can actually like do all that stuff we did with Hartenstein and just boost it up. Like it's to the umpteenth power because we're running it with Cat instead of him, right? And it's just like you have Cat running that stuff. Brunson has taken his man pretty much to all the way out past the 3-point line, right? Because they're just denying the ball on him. There's tons of space for all these guys to cut. And when you have athletes like OG, Josh Hart, Precious to an extent, Mikal cutting to the basket, with all that room, it's just this is a lose-lose situation for any defense that plays us. And not every night's going to look like this, right? Like we've seen off games already from this team. There's gonna be another night where we look like shit and we're like, what the fuck is going on? But this is a game where clearly we got up for, right? Like we got up for this game, no doubt. Everybody knew what this game meant to Cat, what this game meant to the guys over there on the other bench, right? So I consider this game to have been close to a playoff environment, and they were just locked in from the jump. They had every answer on offense. They knew how to answer every counter from Minnesota. And Tibbs even wasn't stubborn with his own stuff. He started the game with Precious on Randle. He switched it. OG was on him after. This was...
He brought in the subs. He brought in the bench. I mean, the end of bench guys with what, 9 minutes left.
9 minutes.
And He kept them in. The lead got down to 22. Even I was like, I wouldn't be shocked if he brought in at least Cat or someone, but he even stuck with them. So,
yeah. I'm gonna get to this one super chat real quick from the great Larry Israel. Just want to note that cleaning the glass would have turned off stat tracking with 9+ minutes to go. Also, F Tim Bontemps and his gills. Yes, F Tim Bontemps. He said Philly was better than us. Fuck off, bud.
Recently?
No, like in the off season, but still, that was a fucking crock of shit. I think he doubled down like maybe 15-20 games into the season, but I mean that's just absolute bullshit. Who knows if they make anything further than playing? We'll see how things play out. But yeah.
Yeah, and Larry, the whistles in OU Mish, don't get me started. Don't set me off on that one.
Do you want to give Mikal some more flowers for the defense? I was impressed with the defense today.
Yeah, I mean he's stuck. Sorry, go ahead, Tyrese.
Oh no, you got it.
Yeah, I mean there were multiple possessions. He was sticking with Edwards through screens, sticking through the first move. I thought Deuce did a reasonably good job. Ant got him with the nasty spin move once, but this was for a team that struggled with a lot of dynamic perimeter creators. This is what you wanted to see, but I think Bridges especially shined on that end. This is. I mean, I think I said this on the pod, but we saw this a little bit with. And he's a better player than those guys, but even with Bogdanovich and Burks, who are veterans, coming from Detroit to a team that's trying to win every game, that's competing, the stakes are different. Like every possession matters on defense. There's some adjustment there, and I think Bridges has, went through that. Right, we just weren't seeing this, but this is the kind of defense you bring him here for, where you could, he shot the ball well. I'd still like him to get into guys and be a little more physical on offense, but if this is what you're getting, it's really the defense. I knew that, I always felt like career 37% 3-point shooter, he should be fine, whatever the tweaks in the shot are or whatever. It does look a lot cleaner and just a really quick release now. But even without that, this is really what was going to determine, because you're building the experiment the Knicks are running is two guys who are phenomenal offensive players who have to play 35, 40 minutes during the playoffs, but are subpar defenders, right? At the point of attack and at the rim. So you need all three of your other guys to be great defenders. And when they are, I thought OG, Bridges, Precious, and then when Deuce came in, he was great too on defense. When you get that, you see what happens. That's what the Bulls tried, and frankly, I think we have more talent. I think Lonzo and Caruso were great defenders. and they had 3 great offensive players. But no disrespect to Levine or Vooch, but I think that you have just much better versions of them in Brunson and Cat. So, but this is why you bring Bridges here, not just the offensive stuff. That's kind of, we just need him to hit a baseline, which I think he's been hitting for a while. But this kind of defense, that's where you're like, all right, you give up a lot of picks, but it changes the ceiling of this team completely.
He was using the length and passing lanes too, like not necessarily off the ball, but when I remember there was one specific play by the start of the game. I think Anthony Edwards tried to like ice a screen, or ice the big off of a screen, and they did a really good job of doubling. Like Mikal recovered off of that after getting stuck on the screen, got into the passing lane, got the steal. We didn't convert on it, but it was like this was a possession where earlier in the season he might not be getting back into this play, but against an elite player, gets back into it, not only bothers him, but gets a steal. We're going back down the other way. Like, that is improvement, right? And it was always going to improve because we're coached by Tom Thibodeau. And like, that just happens with his teams. We've learned for, 4 or 5 years now, we're going to improve from the beginning of the season. We're never a finished product. And that physicality from Mikal, Larry said it over here. The cutting, I thought he was physical with his cuts, not steering away from contact. I think he was accepting contact all night, both sides of the ball. And the passing, I mean, I had a tweet about it today. The relocation 3 ball late in the third quarter to Brunson, where Mikal had it on the left wing, was kind of driving towards the free throw line. Skip pass over to Brunson for the open corner 3. That's one of the best plays, one of the best reads I've seen him make as a Knick. So having all this stuff culminate in a game like this, where you just absolutely mop the floor with a legitimate contender, just awesome.
And they
else to say.
They as a team, they look. Minnesota has an imposing, multiple defensive player of the year. He was a game low minus 37. I know Cat typically has gotten the better of him. It's just a tough matchup for him. But the Timberwolves had 6 offensive rebounds. You can talk about Julius, but he's a good offensive rebounder. Gobert is a good rebounder. On the other end, the Knicks actually had 16 off and a shot in a night when they didn't miss a ton of shots. They still got 16 offensive rebounds, which comes out to about a third of their misses.
Yeah.
So when you're shooting well, you're getting good shots, and then you're, Cat is. I think there was a stat. Cat has had 7 straight games with 15 plus rebounds. It's 1 away from, I think, the franchise record.
Yeah.
At 30 and 20 tonight.
I think he also had 30 and 20 in the last game too.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a machine. Precious had a double-double. The rest of the guys, Bridges, everyone was chipping in. Deuce, Sims, I thought, he had his struggles, but they did, and for a team that at times we've questioned or has had questions about the physicality, right? Are they more of a finesse team with Cat at the 5? This was a pretty encouraging sign there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're good to dive into some comments. If you want to get into that, start from the top over here. This when I initially logged on here and we were going to start the stream, this made me laugh. From Walt Clyde Frazier, weird to see Randle dribble off his dick in a different jersey.
He had a spin move into traffic a couple times with the turnover, and you're just like, oh, it's nice to be on the other end of that. I mean, it felt a lot like we've seen this before, right? Randle finished with a solid stat line, 24 points on 8 for 17, shot the ball well, but 5 turnovers, right? And the team, I mean, his plus minus wasn't even that bad. This is exactly the kind of game where we're on the other end and we're just like, and then you'd have the debate, right? Guys would be like, well, look at his stats. He did pretty well. You can't blame him for Rudy stinking up the place. And it's just, I have no ill will towards Randle. I'm happy he had a good game.
I agree.
I don't. People were making up or completely talking about the fact that he didn't shake hands with anyone after the game. That kind of stuff. I'm sure he's cool with the guys. He went on the roommates pod. Like, He doesn't seem like that kind of a guy, but it is kind of funny at this point that there was even a debate about whether Cat or Randle impacts winning more. The fact that Cat can play the 5 alone changes that, and then leave out the fact that he is, for any position, one of the best shooters in the NBA. I actually think there's a pretty substantial gap on defense. Like, I actually like Cat's in the second quarter. Cat kind of took over, but a lot of that was defense, getting steals, getting in the passing lanes and all of that, being in the right spot. He's not going to block a lot of shots. That's just is what it is. But he's been doing his job as well as he can. But yeah, I mean, you saw a lot of those possessions. You saw Randle getting doubled. OG is familiar with him and is a great defender. And you see that's why he's a little bit of a complicated fit on contending teams. Doesn't mean he's not a great player. I'm curious what happens with him. I look at the team down in San Antonio, and I actually think that'd be pretty interesting.
No.
I think you got a guy there that could make anything work. So
I think he should go to Detroit and help out Cade. And if I have to, I just escaped him. Why would you send him back to me? Do you think I want to go to ATB and see Julius fucking Randle? No.
I do. We got to talk about this then. Can you talk us through the heel turn you made with Randle? Because
I watched everybody
when everybody wanted to trade him, you were like, "Nah, I don't want to do that." He still is a guy that can get you draw attention, and then you were vindicated. And right when you were vindicated, you were like,
"I'm good."
Yeah, because you guys wanted to trade him to make RJ Barrett the fucking star, and that was stupid.
You mean future All-Star RJ Barrett?
Oh my god, I swear he's actually gonna get voted in. It's gonna piss me off. But yeah, like when people wanted to trade Randle for RJ Barrett to get touches, that was really fucking stupid. And then I watched the playoffs, and I watched him be a shit processor all playoffs with a bad ankle, and people were like, "Oh, the ankle was bad," and it's like the ankle doesn't. He didn't sprain his brain, like.
It's all connected, Tyrese.
Sure, the ankle is connected to the brain bone.
Through the fascia. Come on.
Just ask the physical therapist here.
Yep, exactly.
I stick to the psychology. But yeah, like I watched the playoffs and I was like, okay, so this guy cannot process basketball at a high level. And then people were like, well, it's the spacing, and it's like, sure, part of it was Tibbs, but it's also like he doesn't know what to do in court after like the first read. He's like Daniel Jones when he's in the fucking pocket. And I realized
don't say that name.
Sorry, Tim Boyle when he's in the pocket. And then
that's a deep cut.
I watched the first part of last season and I was like, okay, it's getting a little bit better. He's best kind of double teams. And then I watched the January Knicks, which everybody like put on a pedestal, and I'm like, this offense was really fucking bad. Like they were like 17th in offense. They got 2 blowouts and they went up like 9th. And it's like small sample size, of course, but yeah, you can't have offense with Julius Randle. And then the Knicks played the rest of the season without Julius Randle. Dante DiVincenzo basically gave Julius Randle production in terms of shooting and efficiency. And then Josh Hart did all the ancillary stuff, which is like passing and rebounding. So like, I was like, okay, just give Brunson like good processing and space, and he's basically like you don't need Julius to function. Offensively, like you don't need Julius. Like the fact that they basically did the same without Julius and with Julius, and the only reason why they did the same was because OG got hurt. Otherwise, they would have done even better. Like at that point, I was like, okay, like you can't win with this. Like it doesn't matter. He just does not impact women. So.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is, the Knicks are, for whatever their defensive issues are, they were 16th in defensive rating coming into today. That might not go up because garbage time. It'll go up on cleaning the glass for sure, as Larry mentioned. But they did that with Cat playing the 5. There's no world in which Julius Randle plays the 5, especially on this team, and the Knicks are even that high in defensive rating. So for all of Cat's flaws, he is big enough to trust him there. So when you have Randle at the 4, you kind of have to play him next to a good defender. It's tough to find a good defender like that who can protect the rim and space the floor, because you need that for Randle too. It's just a tough fit. Cat allows you to do that, and then you can play him next to a guy like OG at the 4. And so that's why I did bring up San Antonio, because they have one of the few guys who can actually play really good defense and space around Randle. But and he doesn't add a ton of value on defense. So even at the 4, so it just Cat is a superlative player, as an offensive player, and you can get by with him at the 5, and that's the big difference.
Also, by the way, the Knicks are 14th in defensive rating per NBA.com.
Is it updated with tonight?
Yes.
Okay, so 14th now, right? That you with the number of minutes that Cat has played at the 5, that wasn't going to happen with Randle.
By the way, they're going to be top 10 by the end of the year. Just quote on that.
Yeah, are they top 10 if you take out the Boston game to start the season?
Yes. The Boston game legitimately dropped that down five on the rankings. It was that.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to do that either, because it's been buoyed also by playing, Detroit and stuff.
Right.
But the fact that middling on offense, this is, Shun has talked about it. This is the formula that Denver kind of followed, right? A great big offensive spacing 5 probably doesn't give you great rim protection. I'm not saying Cat is as good as Jokic, but he's the closest thing, I think, besides Jokic. And then an all-star point guard. Yeah, I do think Brunson is better than Murray ever has been. And then surround them with good defenders and glue guys, right? I mean, there's actually an analog, I think, on every player on this Knicks team. On that Nuggets team, right? OG is like our Aaron Gordon. Bridges is like the KCP. And, Hart is a lot like Bruce Brown. He's been compared to him a lot.
Who's our MPJ?
Or who? MPJ?
Yeah.
That's what we're missing, that big wing, right? So, you kind of get Bridges gives you a little bit more than KCP did, so hopefully that makes up for some of it. I don't think any of them is an anti-vaxxer, so that's kind of nice. But maybe Mitch is. Mitchell Robinson maybe can be.
No, but he played during the Corona year, so he's not an anti-vaxxer.
Didn't MPJ too though?
No, MPJ he didn't vax.
Because of that, okay.
Yeah, he didn't vax.
I know he was vocal about it, and he's family and all that, but yeah, that's kind of the comp for this team. And the Nuggets were 15th in defensive rating. So if you can be as great as the Knicks are on offense, even when things aren't clicking, but when they are clicking like tonight, and clicking even tonight meant Brunson has a bad game. They don't need to be that much better than that. So they're starting to hit that Mendoza line pretty consistently, and that's really exciting. And that wasn't going to happen with the way the team was constructed with Randle.
Yeah. Also with Randle, you can play Randle and Mitch together, fine. But the reason why I maintain that I think our best 5 has a chance, if not, it has a chance to be with Mitch at the 5, because the spacing that Cat's going to have, even with Mitch at the 5, is way better than he had in Minnesota last season while he was playing next to Gobert. And then for all the other guys, OG, Brunson, Mitch himself, and even though Mikal was in here last season, those guys are used to playing with Mitch and Randle, and now that dynamic's going to be better because it's Cat replacing Julius. So everybody, this is just a soup. I don't know if it's a souped up version of last year's Timberwolves or a souped up version of last year's Knicks, but it's something in between. And I think that lineup has the potential to be fucking ridiculous if Mitch comes back serious, which is a big if, but it's just I can't stop thinking about that possibility.
Yeah, that's fair.
What do you guys think about this from Kanye? 2 All-Star starters? Question mark.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's 3 front court and 2 guards, right?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
So who Giannis is gonna get it? Tatum's gonna get it, right? Is there anyone else?
Cat's gonna
What?
get it. Cat's gonna get it.
Cat is like the shoe in third there, right?
Yeah.
He's averaging 20, borderline 25 and 15, man.
Big market too, although that doesn't always help. But is there anyone else at the forward position? Jalen Johnson's having a good year, but it's not like in that stratosphere.
I can't think of anybody else that legitimately deserves it.
Siakam is not having that kind of year, right?
Plus the Knicks are bad.
No, Embiid's hurt, so no. Even like one of the guys in the
Mobley.
I don't think if it's gonna be one, it's gonna be Mobley, and I don't think you can put Mobley over what Cat's doing.
You have to get voted in, and the media won't vote for it. The media's gonna all vote for Cat. I feel very confident in the media doing I think the media is gonna enjoy the Knicks.
And Cat's a great story, kind of really, had his ups and downs in Minnesota, came really blew up this year, right? So I think Paolo's hurt, right? That would have annoyed me anyway. Paolo got in over Cat. So at guard, I think is a little bit more interesting. It's tough for me to. I think Mitchell and Brunson are neck and neck in terms of how I evaluate them as players. And Cleveland's having a phenomenal year. And I don't think you can put Garland over Mitchell. So I think Mitchell's definitely getting it. And then I think Matt Moore posted the 4-way. So it was Dame, Garland, Brunson, Mitchell. I think Mitchell's.
I don't know why Garland's in the conversation.
Garland shouldn't be in that conversation. He's having a good year, but clearly Mitchell's the guy.
He shouldn't even make it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Garland as a reserve. So it's Dame versus Brunson, and Dame does have the legacy kind of fan base that's going to give him some votes, but you have to think Brunson has earned it more. We're a better team than them. If you want to say Giannis is better than Cat, Brunson is playing with not as good a number 2. I think Brunson's kind of flying under the radar. I think there's still been talk of him having a down year and stuff, which, if you look at the stats, I think it's 25 and 8 or something. He's 25-8 on 49 field goal percentage, 43% from 3 and 82. It's been kind of quiet because of what Cat's doing. But Brunson's been hooping, just slightly less usage than last year, but
yeah. And I was checking Dame's stats just because I haven't been tapped into the Bucks this year, and they're putting up the same numbers. They're both 25 and 8. Brunson is 4% better shooting from the field. I don't know what the true shooting would be with that differential over there, but the Knicks are currently, how many games would this be?
So Brunson is at a career high, 62% true shooting, which he hasn't come close to that even since his age 24 season in Dallas when his usage was 20. He's doing that on 29 usage. So, that was Dallas. He was never going to have that kind of usage.
And what's Dame?
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
And the standing is going to take precedent here too as well, right? Because
it should, yeah.
The Knicks are the 3 seed.
Oh, Dame has him in true shooting. It's 62.2 versus 62%. So it is really close.
Pretty much the same.
Yeah.
They're pretty much having the same season. So I the legacy bullshit, man. To me, the legacy
voting. Dame has just a lot of fans, right? So
yeah, fan base. I can understand that argument, but if I am a media voter, how am I not voting for Brunson after what he just did in the playoffs, right? And I'm not trying to say oh, Stacey, fucking, why don't you want Brunson to be an all-star, right? I'm not saying that. But I just feel man, if things were switched and we had Dame and somebody else had this, point guard who just went crazy in the playoffs and brought his team to Game 7 of the semifinals with nobody healthy on the roster, these guys would be fuck yeah, that guy's an all-star starter. And then for us, it's like, oh, but are we sure? Like, Dame's not gonna get in over him again? Like, spare me that shit, man. Like I'm tired of like having to play second fiddle to these aging stars who our players are obviously better than. Just fuck that, man. I'm tired of that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I also think there's just this narrative. I think people kind of expected Brunson to come down to earth. They've been expecting that, right? There was the Heat series, and it's like, can he do it again? Then he did it even more last year, and like all the 40-point games. Yeah, but he has the ball all the time. Tibbs is crazy, and then so like he's had a few bad games this year, and his scoring has dipped, and people aren't watching efficiency like that. So I think there's just kind of a narrative that Brunson isn't having that great a year right now, and it's kind of no, man. And look, I don't want to take anything away from Karl Anthony Towns because this is look we've said this how many times, right? This is the best acquisition I can remember the Knicks making, right? I still think Brunson, for what they got him for in free agency, is probably number one.
Yeah.
But OG, that trade is phenomenal, right? Leon Rose has been, the opposite of, I guess, of what you guys think of Hal Steinbrenner. But or I guess it's Cashman, right? GM.
I think Hal Steinbrenner is a great American who let the Mets get.
I forgot. You're on the you're Queens guy. I forgot.
Yep.
No, so it's but Cat has been. I mean, not just on the court, which has been insane. I haven't gotten to watch a player this talented. KP didn't fully maybe half a season of KP, and even then, Cat is doing more than what KP did. No, that's fine. KP was 21. I'm not trying to shit on him. It was a fun time. Last of it, Cat is just a fully realized version of that type of player. And he just seems like an awesome dude. And all this stuff. I think Benji tweeted about this. Like, what we call corniness from Cat is maybe just him being just normal, right? Like he just says what is on his mind. Like They asked him, "Is it another game?" He's like, "No, of course it's not." Right. Which seems genuine, right? But I do think, without taking anything away from Cat, I talked about it earlier, right? Teams are keying in on Brunson, and that just opened up the floodgates for Cat. They cannot devote resources to him. He has taken full advantage, but I do think Brunson deserves a modicum of credit for what he's like, for setting the table and creating those situations. He doesn't because he's thought of as more of a scoring point guard, but his assists are up. This is the best offense. I don't know where his offense is in Dallas peaked. I know they were third in offensive rating last year, but this is the best offense he's ever been in command of. And he is in command. Cat is, it's like a quarterback and a wide receiver where, and if it's a guy like AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts, yeah, AJ Brown deservedly gets a lot more credit. And I think Cat is kind of our AJ Brown, but the QB is still the guy who makes it go and is the guy the defense is going to focus in on. And Brunson does deserve credit for that. And I just don't think that the narrative is, I think there's still people even like a week or two ago were like, damn, looks like that Brunson contract wasn't worth it or whatever. It's like, nah, man, he's hooping. It's just, he doesn't have to put up 40 every night anymore.
Yeah. And to put what you said into perspective, Cat is right now 1.5 points off of his career high, but he's shooting 3% better from three, or sorry, 2% better from three than he has at any other point in his career before factoring in tonight's 5 for 5. And then from the field, this is the...
I mean, he's like 64, 65. He's getting to Jokic territory, like in terms of not the assist, but everything else is Jokic territory.
No, but the other stuff is 25 and 15 on 50, 40, 85. Like, that's fucking sick. And it's not just 50, 40, 85. It's 53, 45, 85. That is crazy.
Yeah, and I don't, like, I keep saying, oh, that 45, 44 is going to go down, and he might just end up with, like, a Steph Curry shooting season. That's kind of what it feels like. And because, like, this is not, like, some standstill guy. Like, I mean, there was a transition walk-up, pull-up that he had. Like this was in preseason when he was even taking these. It seems so long ago. Remember when he kind of shot like ass during the preseason? And I
Dude,
remember like, did he lose his shot? Clearly no.
I remember. I'm sorry to cut you off. I remember somebody was like, "This is why the Knicks shouldn't have traded hashtag Julius Randle for hashtag Karl Anthony Towns. It's just preseason, but he already can't shoot with the lights on." And I was like, "You're fucking stupid."
It's also hilarious. He's putting up those shooting numbers. He's taking a career low only 3% corner threes. For his career, 11% of his threes have come from the corner, and he's only shooting 25% of those. This is mostly above the break, difficult stuff. Most of it is assisted, but a lot of those are coming off of some kind of movement. You don't need movement shots though when the guy is 7 feet. Nobody can block his fucking shot.
No, dude, he got multiple kickouts today with Gobert, not necessarily closing in on him, but like in his vicinity, hand in his face, and he's just like, "Yeah, I'm still shooting this shit though."
I mean,
he's
the one,
amazing.
and that's such a cheat code, right? And the only thing I would say is like his 3-pointers per 100 possessions are 7.4. Last 2 years they were 8. I'd even like to see that go up. Like, yeah, I'd rather see you shoot 38, 39, but get that up to 10. Those are rookie numbers, baby. You got to pump those up.
Yeah, we have pump those up.
So I mean, he's been phenomenal. But I again, like, teams, like you saw what the Timberwolves did, and that has been the book on the Knicks before. Dedicate your resources to Brunson, make other guys beat you. And it's not just Cat. Bridges, OG, Deuce can get hot. There are other guys who can beat you too, but Cat is the guy that it's like you have to worry about him too. So then that's why the stupidest, I don't think this has been a widespread debate. The stupidest thing I've heard conversations about is Cat really the best player or is it Brunson? They're together. They just make each other better. It's impossible for me as an Eagles fan. It's like debating: is it Hurts or is it AJ? Right? Both are just make each other better. Even though they get into arguments sometimes. But
Jalen Hurts' press conference just fucking pissed me off.
Why? Because he was smug?
No, just because I hate the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, I would too. Wait, actually, I gotta. So, are you? Who's your QB pick?
As of right now, I would prefer them to not take any quarterback.
You don't like any Shader?
I would look for a trade down, but if I have to pick somebody, I'd take Cam Ward.
Yeah, a lot of people like Cam Ward. It'll be the last time a C Ward got drafted to lead a New York offense. Had some success. Oh, you're too young for Charlie Ward. He's a Heisman winner too.
I was like, is he talking about? I had to rack my brain for that fucking Charlie Ward reference, bro. That yeah.
He was a Florida quarterback who won the Heisman Trophy. But yeah, I mean, getting back to these Knicks, let's I guess we can talk about, we don't need to spend too much time on this, but before the game, Randall was like, yeah, it's just another game, blah, blah, blah. I didn't read anything into it. I mean, I don't think it's true, but I also think like that's just what you're supposed to say, right? After the game, he didn't shake anyone's hand. I don't think there's any bad blood or anything there, but I'd be curious to your thoughts on that.
I don't think there's any bad blood. It's just like me as a fan watching that. It's kind of just like, you mad that like we beat you? Which
I would be
as a competitor.
They
yeah,
fucking destroyed them.
Yeah. So like, as a competitor, like I get it, and my knee jerk reaction as a fan is like, all right, well, I didn't want you to like dap up our guys anyway, right? But you calm down. You do a 50-minute podcast about it, and then at the end of things, you're like, it's fine, dude. Like, guy got his doors blown off, and then like had to go and hug his former teammates and just sing Kumbaya. Like, I get it. He was pissed. It's fine. Like, he was pissed off. His former team beat the brakes off of him. and he was angry. Like that's if that happened to me, I'd be fucking angry too, man. Like I get it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he's always been cool with Brunson and those guys in the locker room and stuff. Dante took some shots. Dante tried to like shit talk Deuce down 25 or something in those fourth quarter minutes because he hit a three in Deuce's face, and I think Deuce was just like, okay, like I have your job now, buddy. I'm woefully underpaid for it, but they don't miss you because of me. They don't love you like that, bro. It's I think a lot of that stuff gets created. The analogy I was thinking about with Randle is, again, sorry to bring up the Eagles again. He reminds me a little bit of Donovan McNabb on the Eagles. Really good player who made them competitive. But you see what Andy Reid's offenses look like when they're fully realized, right? With not even Mahomes, right? I mean, Vic came in right afterwards and had an amazing season. There was just certain, McNabb wasn't the greatest processor, very athletically gifted. And when he got traded, everyone was like, oh, they're going to regret this. I think he had like 7 for 15 for 39 yards his first game back with with Washington at that time. And that's kind of how I feel with Randle. It's like great memories. I'm still going to, remember the guy fondly for all the warts and everything. Wasn't going to be the guy to get us over the hump. And I don't know if these guys will get over the hump, but I mean,
he's still the guy who brought us Cat.
He's
like that. That will, like, I will always be thankful for that, man. Honestly, like,
yeah. I mean, Marcus Morris brought us quickly, but Morris technically brought us OG. Right? I guess you can like RJ for that too. But I mean, it's been a very interesting journey. I mean, when I joined the Strickland, it was like the draft where we got Obi Toppin. So that was really when this all started. I'm lucky enough to root again. Sorry, Howie Roseman and Leon Rose. It's fun to watch both of them, but this has just been such a competent front office. Like everything just makes sense. And this might fail, right? Maybe Bridges isn't this guy in the playoffs, and they've compromised their flexibility. Injuries can happen, right? I can list a bunch of ways this can go wrong. You watch a game like tonight, just how they were. I mean, again, that's the fourth best defense in basketball. Former Rudy Gobert, I think Larry Israel had a comment where he said he had 4 free throws and 3 points.
You just had another comment right here. It just says Gobert sucks in all caps.
But I don't want to. Sure, I'm all for Rudy Gobert slander, but I don't want to take away from like the Knicks just made very, very light work of one of the top defenses in the league.
Yeah.
You have McDaniels too. They have Anthony Edwards is a good defender, right? Anthony Edwards was an afterthought in this game. That's wild to say,
He was what, the fourth best player on the court tonight?
I mean, was he better than Deuce tonight? Deuce had 8 assists.
He's 16-8 for Deuce. Like, I don't know.
Precious had a double-double. I guess you can say Anthony Edwards outplayed Brunson, which would have been a death knell last year, but tonight is just okay. Anyway, right? So like,
yeah.
I mean, Hawks are now 14-14. I think I did say this like before. The Knicks used to be the team that was just a tough matchup for anybody, but didn't have the talent to really just be the best, right? I think now they have the talent to beat anybody, but there are some matchups that are just shitty for them, namely teams with like a lot of long athletic wings. To their credit, they faced one tonight with McDaniels is that archetype of player, and they smoked him. The Hawks are just like kind of a thorn in their side. Like Dyson Daniels is incredible. He should be in the defensive player of the year conversation. DeAndre Hunter has had a resurgence. Jalen Johnson is a guy. So like they have those kind of athletes, which is the kind of guy, even with OG and Bridges coming in, we've wanted another one of those. But there's going to be thorns in the side, but they're on a different level now, right? They're no longer the team. We saw this with the Magic, right? The Magic committed what they gave. The Knicks got 30 free. I mean, that was insane. Their coach was complaining about free throws after the game, but Jalen Suggs probably should have fouled out 4 or 5 times over. But I'm not even trying to. I thought the refs did a good job. It's like watching the Seahawks back when they had the Legion of Boom. Like if there's pass interference on every play, you can't call it. So that's not me complaining about the refs. That's just me saying it's really rich that the Magic's coach complained. But they had to muck up the game without really any offensive top option, right? The Knicks used to be the team that had to do that, and now they're the team that they run this offense that when it's running like it did tonight, there's nothing you can do. So you have to muck it up. And it's interesting. It's probably an adjustment for them too to kind of go into that role as well.
Yeah. The pass interference reference is always funny because it's so true. This is like, I don't want to say. I guess it is a different topic right here. From Larry, the Eastern Conference teams. He says they're better across the board, or across the board, they're every bit as good. I was going through this in my head. I think every Eastern Conference team, like, I'd take pretty much the majority of them over every Western Conference team besides OKC. Am I forgetting somebody off the top of my head?
Dallas, Denver.
Dallas is up there. Denver, I don't know, man.
Yeah, Denver. I mean, there's a reason we blew them out. They lost to someone, or they were in a tight game against, I think, Portland tonight.
Didn't they just lose also to?
They lost to Portland tonight. So yeah. No, I think if you go down the standings, right? So the Cavs are in first. So Cavs, Thunder. I'm going to take the Thunder there. But I would take the Celtics over the Grizzlies, who are number 2.
Yeah.
I would take us over the Grizzlies at this point. I think it'd be an interesting matchup, but Karl-Anthony Towns against Jaren Jackson Jr., I like our chances. Rockets are weird, where they're a bad matchup for us, but I think we're a better team overall. And then the Magic, I don't even know when Paolo and Franz are coming back. I think the West has better depth, right? Like the Timberwolves are now 8th after we beat them. They would probably be the 4th or 5th best team in the East. I don't think that's unfair, right? So I think that's what people are talking about.
I personally would probably say 6th after Milwaukee, but in that range.
Well, Magic aren't healthy, but yeah. So the Heat, which I don't. I mean, there are people talking about the Heat blowing it up, right? They're the 6th seed. The Pacers. We'll see what. I think that the East has a potential to be a lot better, but like you look at. So I think at the top, the East is every bit as good and maybe a little bit better, because I do think Boston is still the best team in the league. I think, but after OKC, I would take the top 3 teams for sure over anyone else including the Knicks Dallas, but Dallas is 4th. So I think those top 3 teams I think match up with as well with anybody in the West. But the difference to me is like 5 through 10, 11, even with the Spurs starting to look good, is the Clippers have been surprisingly good. Nuggets, MVP, Lakers, still have Anthony Davis, who's as quietly as you can in LA, having a really good year. And of course they have LeBron James Jr. The Wolves, again, one of the top defensive teams. We played them tonight, and it's that middle, like 4 to 11 or 12, where I think the West is better. The East is getting better, and then I would say there's like just more unserious teams in the East.
That for sure, yeah.
Wizards, Raptors, and Hornets compared to, even like the Blazers have been feisty, right? The Pistons, the Nets are actively trying to tank. The Bulls probably should tank. So like towards the middle and bottom is where I'd say the West is better. And then and also the East has been hurt a little bit by the fact that Philly just flopped, which very happy about, but it hurts in those narratives.
Tim Bontemps is fuming.
I don't listen to his pods enough, but But like it's like Shanae, who's not necessarily a big Knicks person, picked them. I was like, I knew Windhorse was going to pick against them, and I was like, yeah, Bontemps is a Mavs guy, right?
I thought he was a Philly guy through and through. Like, let me check.
I thought he covered the Mavs a lot, but I was just like, I know he's gonna pick them, and it's gonna be for the stupidest fucking reason, because we just match up also really well with them. Their biggest strength is that they have maybe the best rim protector in the game. Still, yes, I know Gobert sucks. Before you say it again, Larry, but we have an antidote to that with a stretch five, right? And we just have more firepower at this point. And if there's one team that knows exactly how to defend Julius Randle and is really equipped to do it well, it's the Knicks, you know? So, yeah.
So Tim Bontemps is an NBA analyst for ESPN who also covers the 76ers and Boston Celtics.
No wonder he hates the Knicks. But not only did they win, it wasn't even close. And then Windhorst, I think, likes to play up the Knicks free agency stuff. I think my conspiracy theory with Windhorst is like he always wants the Knicks to be a move away because it allows him to do more reporting. Like, are they going to trade for LeBron? Finally, you know, we made our moves, man. We're here. We here to quote one of the guys on the court tonight.
Yeah, 2020 Julius Randle. I have that "We Here" towel, by the way, still from that playoff game.
Was that the Hawks?
Yeah, Hawks game too.
Yeah, I was at that game.
I remember seeing you that night.
Oh, did I met you with? I remember meeting Chris.
I was there. I was there with Chris.
I'd had a few that night, so
yeah. No, I didn't want to bring that part of it up, but yeah.
It was at the pizza place, right? Lucas Pizza or something.
Some shit like that, but yeah, I had a slice in my hand.
Oh, I do. I just remember when Obi threw down that alley-oop. That was the loudest I've ever heard the Garden.
Yeah.
I went to Game 3 of the Cavs the next year when they blew the Cavs out, and I was at Game 5 this year against Philly when Mitch had the foul. I've been to a lot of their games. I've never heard it just like the floor, everything was shaking when Obi hit that alley-oop. It was a fun game.
I wanted to point this out just because it's just fucking hilarious. From Young Yuka, as soon as OG guarded Randall, it was time to kiss the baby. I have no clue what the last three words of that mean, but that just sounds hilarious, and I agree, I guess.
I mean, Randall got a couple of fouls calls too, by the way, that if it was a close game, I wouldn't have been thrilled about. But yeah. OG's just an insane defender. Like, we shit on Randall, but he's a really talented player, and OG obviously has some familiarity with him. But yeah, he was awesome. He's been shooting like shit, but you know, means to put it to sleep. Game over.
Yeah, thank you.
Just the baby. Good night. All right.
Thank you, Chris. It makes a lot of sense, actually. God, I'm so stupid. All right. Do you have any topics you want to hit? I'm incredibly fucking tired. So.
Yeah, it's only 10 p.m. for me, so I am now realizing I moved to Seattle. So.
Okay. Yep. Okay. I did not know about that.
Yeah. So, yeah, we get 4 hours of sunlight here. So, but the Knicks brought me some sunshine tonight. So.
Exactly. There you go. But yeah, I think that's it for us then. Thank you all for tuning in. Nice Friday morning Run.down. Filling in for Sam. Filling in, I guess, for Tyrese for half of this after he bounced out. But yeah, I don't know when the next game is. Do you know when our next game is?
The next game is Saturday.
Saturday, 8:00.
The Knicks have had a couple of good rests against the Pelicans, which, well rested and everything. Probably, I don't know what's going on with Hart, but I would imagine he comes back. But even without Hart, they have a few winnable games coming up. They got Pelicans, 2-day rest. They don't have a back-to-back until next weekend, but they get the Pelicans. They get the Raptors at home. RJ plays tough against them, but that's a game they should. They're just a better team, right? That doesn't guarantee the win, as we've learned. But
yeah.
And then I think it's Spurs on Christmas. That's gonna be fun. I think Cat and Wemby is a I like Wembanyama. I don't know how I feel about him, but that should be a fun matchup.
I think Wemby's like. I think Wemby's fucking like he's great for the sport.
Yeah, when people complain about the way people shoot too many threes, I'm like, but the result of that is 7-footers. You get a guy like Jokic, right? That's not to say that 7-footers weren't skilled in the past, right? But you get a guy like Giannis, right? You get a guy like you get guys like Jalen Johnson. It's like it's super fun, you know. And like I honestly do think there's a lot of diversity in how teams attack. You know, there's probably always ways to make the game better, but I'm excited for that. But again, a team the Knicks should beat, although they are above 500. So you know, this I don't think the narrative that Wemby is just a stats guy holds. I didn't think it held last year either, but they're a solid team. They get the Magic on the road, but the Magic are, as we know, pretty undermanned. Wizards twice. They get the Wizards are second game of back-to-back, but it is the Wizards, and they get them that Monday. So going into the new year, the Knicks don't, and then they get the Jazz. The Jazz are always a tricky matchup for the Knicks just because of how they play. But they have a slate of winnable games, and then they face the Thunder on the road, which the next reunion, something tells me the next reunion game or the next revenge game for a former Knick will be a lot tougher. So tonight was.
Yeah, I'm shocked that San Antonio is above 500, but props to fucking Wemby, bro. That kid, he didn't come here for bullshit, and I respect that.
Yeah, he's that is probably the most underrated thing. He's a freakish talent, but the differentiator for for guys like MJ, LeBron, like all of those greats, also just had insane competitive drive. Even Shaq, right, who people say mailed it in a little bit, yeah, but compared to the average NBA player, it was still
he mailed it in after 4 rings. Like,
yeah,
okay.
Well, I mean, it's stuff like he never led the league in scoring or rebounding, which he should have been able to do in his sleep. But in the playoffs, he was the playoff Shaq 2000-2002 is still like if I had to win one game, you asked me, could I have Michael Jordan, LeBron, or 2000 to 2002 playoff Shaq? I'd probably take playoff Shaq. But yeah, I mean, Wemby like has that factor in addition to just otherworldly talent. So it's gonna be fun to watch. I think it's safe to say at this point we haven't seen a guy of that level of talent since LeBron came to the league. So
yeah,
although we have a guy that people used to talk about like that.
Cat?
When Cat got drafted after his rookie year,
yeah,
like this was at that time, Anthony Davis was considered like the next big thing. And for the first time in like a couple years, they did a GM poll, and GM said they would take Cat over Anthony Davis. The weird thing is that if you go back and read his draft scouting reports in Kentucky, like the defense was the thing most people are high on because he wasn't allowed to take 3-point shots at Kentucky, which maybe not a great call, Coach Cal. But
he's a great coach who definitely doesn't get eliminated in the first round every year.
I mean, I'm just saying, if you have arguably the best shooting big man ever, and I'm sure Cat wasn't this yet, but he came in a league and shot close to 40% from three. But yeah, at that point, he looked like he was going to have a much higher defensive ceiling, and he was just an insanely good player. And it's cool. And I think he's just in the perfect position now because he doesn't have to. Brunson is still seen as the face of the franchise, so Cat doesn't have to carry that burden yet. Yeah, I say yet because it might come, but and I think that's kind of what we saw that we've seen that with other guys, right? I think that was the best role for KD. That's when he was most comfortable in Golden State. I think Cat is a little bit less of a dweeb or whatever, but I do think he's like he's best suited. I think, especially on offense, where he's not tasked with straight up being the guy and can pick his spots, and he will pick them a lot, as we can see. But it's tough not to be really happy. Not that just that he's here, but I think he's in like the best spot for him too.
Yeah. I'm gonna have us leave things off here because I'm about to crash onto the laptop. Like we said, Saturday, 8:00, New Orleans. We said,
yeah.
We'll all be tuned in for that one, and we'll see you guys. Maybe might not be Stacy and I. Probably won't be Stacy and I, but we'll see. good win for us. Great win for us. And have a good night, everybody. Okay. It's not in yet. Here we go.